Hello and welcome to VR Verdict Podcast, episode 126, our weekly podcast where we talk about everything VR. I am PJ.
Wookie?
And I'm Mark, known as Mark from Markets VR and Dates VR.
How's it going, sir?
Yeah, very well. Well, it's the afternoon here in the UK. I'm pretty sure it's very early for you guys in the States.
Not very.
Yeah, but
only like 8ish.
we're early birds.
Yeah. Oh, well, you told me it was 7 a.m. Wookie, so to me that's early. Oh, PJ,
Except for
sorry,
PJ.
7,
7
yeah,
a.m. for
he's
you.
8.
On our East
Oh,
Coast,
so
I'm a
you
little
got it all
closer
right
to
then.
you guys.
Yeah.
So we're here to chat about your awesome space markets VR and what all that entails. So you want to start with a little bit of your backstory and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Awesome. So this is one of a few projects I've undertaken. So I think what I'm probably most known for is Dates VR, which I set up about a year and a half ago. And that's got some press coverage, which is brilliant. It's getting momentum. It's probably one of our most successful VR-based platforms. But in the time of using, and I won't go into too much detail about that because obviously today's about markets VR, but I'm definitely, more than happy to come back and talk more about Dates VR.
Sure.
I created Markets VR after realizing that I would go up to avatars and be completely clueless as to who they were, where they were, what they did, and just kind of have general chit chat conversations. And as time progressed, I kind of discovered a bit more about what it is they do, where they come from, what their background is, and be super interested. And it's like no one would know this about you had they not asked it about you. And it's like not even necessarily from a product perspective, just things that they are good at and what people would be interested in them for. So we created Markets VR. So essentially kind of what like a flea market, that's what you guys would refer to it as in the States, I think, but what we would
Yep.
just call a market in the UK.
Which is way more
And
attractive than flea market.
Yeah, as a kid
yeah,
growing up, I literally was like, why would I go flea market?
to a
And,
flea
being
market,
like,
yeah, to get
later
fleas.
on and be like, do I need
Yeah.
a collar for the flea? It's so dumb, but that's
Thought
what
it
they
was for
call it.
pets. Yeah. So what we wanted to do was create like basically a one-stop hub for people that have goods or services that they can provide locally, I mean globally, sorry, and have a banner that's behind them that best portrays what it is they do and be here at a set time within a day, once a week or twice a week or whatever they feel like, and their avatar can stand in front of that, and then anyone that pops in can see the things that they do and instigate a conversation about it and have a conversation with that avatar about what it is they do. So it's just a great way for people to kind of understand what it is that they do. Yeah, so that's how kind of Markets VR came about, to help people
Nice.
best portray what it is they do. Yeah.
Who modeled the cute little huts and things? Because I like the little roofs and everything. Who
Sorry,
made
what's
this
that?
space? Who made like the stalls in 3D and stuff?
Yeah, so I did, and it was not my background. I didn't understand anything about putting assets together and creating worlds. And during the lockdown and having a lot of free time, because unfortunately I got let go from my job because the company went under, and I used to work as a personal trainer in London, like at a boutique gym. Unfortunately, yeah, they couldn't keep hold of me. So during the lockdown, I was staying at home a lot, and I was just kind of like, this VR stuff is amazing. I'm just going to discover it. So a lot of trial and error and a lot of error. I figured out how to finally get where I am now.
Nice.
But in terms of like the actual images within the stalls, then it's not that complex. It's just a 16 by
Mm.
9 image. The banners at the top. If you've got a double stall like this one that you can see here, is two sets of 16 by 4.5. So it's just two images, and the back images here are 16 by 9, 16 by 9. Um, and then the world is obviously the complex bit. But the thing that we wanted to ultimately do was didn't want to make it too complicated for the people that wanted to have a stall in here to understand everything VR, to understand how to make assets. You just wanted people to best portray what it is they do with a 16:9 image, and then the rest of the kind of VR-like aspect of it can be down to me and the team. Yeah. But yeah, it was me. A long way to answer your question, but yeah, it was me that built it.
Nice.
Got there eventually.
Good work.
You want to you have kind of a little trailer. Do you want to go through that quick and then move to the booth you created for us in here?
Yeah, 100%. So
Alright.
I've got a screen up there if you want to just in your avatar head. I'll press play. So this is kind of what best sells the idea to anyone who doesn't really understand what it is we're doing. So I'll press play. It's 1 minute long, and I will commentate on it for the people, for your followers that are just listeners right now.
This is a message to e-commerce businesses who sell products and services globally who wish to add a fun, simple, and alternative way to meet new customers and generate more business. Pixel Market by Markets VR is now open, a virtual reality marketplace that allows customers to shop in
Sometimes it's
No.
paused. I don't know if it's done it for you
Working from your
guys.
shop
Has
or
it done that then? Yep.
Hello, how's it going?
It's
and
back.
more
Sorry,
people
it's just
from all around the
the
world
nature of the internet.
can visit your.
Um,
You can be working from.
Sorry, just give it a moment. It's bandwidth sometimes could be the issue. Is it just a green screen for you guys right now?
No,
See it's paused.
it picked back up.
Picture.
Okay. Okay, I'll press play
Place
again.
that
Sorry.
allows customers
Just
to
let me
shop
know
in
if it
virtual
cuts.
reality and receive their products.
Yeah, people can use it in a 2D version like this.
Hello, how's it going?
Swipe
And
and
real
be
people
straight at
from
their
all around the
stall
world
to talk to customers
Can visit your virtual stall, discuss your products, and
about their
place real
goods, products, and
orders.
services. And then obviously they can close a deal after talking to the customer.
Nice to meet you.
And you.
Take care.
You can also leave your stall unattended 24 hours a day, and customers can still place orders with your business. All that is required is a 16:9 widescreen image. Our stalls are filling up fast. If you want more information and to secure a stall, then direct message Markets VR and start generating new business at Pixel Market.
Win at work by
Okay,
communicating
let's pause
effectively.
that.
With Grammarly,
Oh,
meet
how do I
Todd.
get this?
He is emailing a difficult client.
I
Sorry
think
about this.
Ads.
Yeah, hopefully you don't get you guys in trouble for that. Yeah,
Wow,
so
get us some revenue.
yeah, sorry about that. So for me,
No worries.
sometimes like depending on location, bandwidth, and whatnot, on that screen it went green for me, so I didn't know if it was playing for you guys, but it turns out it was, and I had to pause it. But in the video, so I think the key takeaway from that is that people that own a stall don't have to have a VR headset; they can just operate on a 2D model, so they can still work from their home, be stood idle at their stall and just wait for someone to come up and talk to them. And when they do, they just tether the tab and then can instantly engage and talk to that customer about their goods and services. And actually, we strongly encourage only the stall owners to not attend their stall in VR headsets, because there will be moments when it's quiet in here and there'll be moments when it's busy, and when it's quiet you're going to get pretty bored in this immersive experience in a VR headset and no one's coming up, so that's why you kind of just stay there
Nothing to
idle in
shoot at.
2D. Sorry.
Nothing to shoot
Yeah.
at in VR. You're like, I need a gun, a bow and arrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they can sit
Yeah.
there and just like, is there like a ping noise, or they just hear somebody talking? Like if they're working on your PC and you just, like tether the tab. I'm used to saying Alt tab, but you just switch over. You just would hear it. You get some sort of
Yeah,
to know
so
what customers are.
you didn't hear it in the advert, and obviously this world at the moment, we're not open yet. We're still in the kind of getting the stalls recruitment phase. But when someone enters the world, it will say their name. It will go, so and so has entered the world. So then they will hear a notification that someone's entered the world. Therefore, they know that there's a potential customer that might come up and talk to them. So there is that. But then also, if someone then, if they're just mulling around the stalls and they've not come up to you for a little while, you don't have to stay there looking at them. You can carry on working. When they approach your stall, they would say hello to you, hi, like this, and you could just swipe and instantly talk to them and refer to anything that's on your backing images. Yeah.
I think that's
Nice.
fantastic, because I just got the picture every time like PJ and I, PJ is with a camera and we're recording and stuff, or you put your headset down. If you were in VR, like waiting for somebody, and somebody's walking up, starts talking to your stall like, "Hello," but your hands
Yeah.
are dangling and your head's down, and then you just go to like pop up like a robot. That would freak me out. I'd like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over
I
here.
mean,
But like,
it is a bit disturbing. So when you're in here in 2D, the avatar will look like your cameraman over there, where his arms are just down to his side and he's kind of regimented. I think a lot of people understand that people attend in 2D and 3D. You know, the 3D people like ourselves that are moving, we're obviously in VR. The ones that are stood like that are obviously in 2D. So that's why
Yeah.
it's great. We don't want so
That's
you know, a lot of people work at home like kind of 8 or 9 hours a day. You could be stood at your stall the whole day
Yeah.
and you could have 3 or 4 people just come up and talk to you about what it is you do. You know, like say, so shall we go to your store and so your viewers
Yeah,
and
let's check it
listeners
out.
can understand? So I did build VR Verdict, a stall, which is available as a service through Markets VR. People that are not very, confident at building their own stall. For a small fee, we can analyze your brand, extrapolate like information about you, and create something for you to review. And obviously, there's a back and forth process. You can see the first iteration, and then you can critique it, and we can apply more changes to it, send it back until you've got a product that best represents your brand. So yeah, do you want to go over and should we look at the store that we did for you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
do it.
So this way. So this is your own stall.
Just readjusting our fancy cameraman.
Yeah. Should I just go ahead and talk even though PJ's
Yeah.
so what I did here is basically Dan and I, so the other guy that's working on this project with me, of Markets VR project, we looked at your brand and we analyzed the things you do. So you guys sell merch, relative to your podcast, which is awesome. So rather than putting every single item that you sell, it will clutter the image. You don't want to overwhelm anyone that visits your stall. You want them to come and visit here, instantly look at it, realize what it is you do within 10 to 15 seconds, even less than that if possible.
Yeah.
So like we do allow people to submit their own artwork that they have the control of doing that, but if we get something that's too cluttered and too confused, we won't approve it and it won't come in. Like we're not harsh about it, we'll constructively critique it, but people that submit their own have to be open to criticism, constructive criticism. So what we've done here is we've taken say 2 or 3 of your items from your Redbubble store, which I believe is one of them that you sell merch on for your show. And we've just taken a few items and then we've put a statement next to it like, listen to our latest episode, kick up your feet and have a coffee with our VR Verdict cup. Straight away, people can imagine what it is, how they could, why a cup would be cool to have. And like while listening to your show, they could be having a coffee, listening to your show. Then we've done like a hat here, like show your listeners who you're listening to. Then we've got a clock here. Never miss a show with our VR Verdict clock. So it's just kind of like real clever ways to
Yeah.
affirm why someone would want to own such a product. And then down here, rather than, like I said, showing every item, I put from bags, bath mats to hats, our full range of merch via the link on our social media links there. So it's incredibly simple. People look, they see that you sell merch, they see that there's more to this range. Here's just a few great items, and they feel compelled to understand more about it. But then because you guys cover a multitude of things in VR. You talk about people's projects and the games and the apps that are operating here. So what we've done is obviously you guys want to be propositioned with people that might want to be on your show. You want to kind of discuss with people. So we've done a call to action. So anyone here can see, like, subscribe to the podcast and hear the stories behind your favorite VR games and apps. And then here a link to your Podbean station, and then people can know exactly what to search, where to find you guys. But then
Awesome.
also, because you have a stall in here, people want to know when you're going to be here to come up and talk to you, like how I'm talking to you now. So what we have here is, do you have an interesting business, story, or project within VR? If you want to chat to the host about appearing on the show, then you can find them here every Saturday. And then I've put time zones based around. So, these times are incorrect, guys, which we had previously spoken about, which will be updated because we're still in that negotiation phase. For people that are in PST within the US, know that you'll hear between 7 and 8 a.m. People that are in CST between 9 and 10, EST between 10 and 11, GMT between 3 and 4 p.m. So it's good. So people at a moment's notice can come in and be like, oh, okay, they're going to be here between that time. I'll make a calendar entry. I'll quickly jump in and
And
chat with you guys about it.
we kind
Sorry,
of
go on.
talked about this before this here. Biggest enemy, if you will, of VR and metaverse and all that are time zones. So that is super on the fly. It's just easy to know when we're here, and
The
each
clock you
seller
with
for
that.
each booth. Yep.
Even if you have like listed the time zones, people might not read the whole block of text. I'll load the little visual with the little clock pie, like boom. I think just is so useful. I really like that. Sorry to
And
jump
Yeah.
in.
oh, that's fine. But I also want to point out, during the whole process, you came up with this whole thing without any of our input, and it's really
Yeah.
neat because you wrote all these little clever things. Like, we didn't say that. So
Yeah.
I think that's just amazing.
You're
You
good
take
at
a first crack at it and say, hey, what do you think? The only thing we changed was the subscribe to the podcast line. Other than that,
Yeah.
that's all you. And I think you should lead a little more like, with your background in marketing, just so people know, like, what you're doing.
Yeah, like
Um,
the only reason we would have had to change that is because that's already established in PJ, and I think like the VR Verdict brand has that like tagline. You wouldn't have known that. But
Yeah.
everything else is, if it was your first crack or even second crack, that's like people don't need
Yeah.
to come up with their own artwork. That's great.
So I'll give you a little story about my background. To be honest, like I've not ever really worked for a company. I've always been kind of self-sufficient. I've worked for myself for about 12 years. And I, created so I'll go way back. I created like a 22-minute video when I was a freelance personal trainer to plug my online product and made a lot of mistakes. And I didn't get the sales through that I wanted. And because I think as time went on, I've learned that you don't need to overcomplicate something. What you guys might deem as valuable in your product might not translate to your consumer. So you've got to always look at things through the eye of the consumer. Like, what would disengage you and what would engage you quickly? What takeaways do you want to get from it? And I've just listened to like multiple like audio books and just kind of really been self-efficient and teaching myself. And I think anyone else could teach themselves these same tricks. Like, everyone has that ability. But I feel like a lot of it comes with experience and trial and error. So I feel like I'm at a point now where I can analyze a brand quickly, see what's going to work for you and what's not going to work with you. Because I think, you got to detach yourself from your personal biases of like what you think's valuable over what people are perceiving as valuable. So I think just trial and error, like, and I can tell you this, boys, I've had a lot of failed projects, and it's only in recent years that I've scored a lot of home runs, as it were. So I'll use an American analogy. I feel like now I know brands, I know how to kind of sell the idea to people, and I think from that, as the years have gone on, something like
That's
this
awesome.
that would have normally took someone months and months to learn. But yeah, I've refined it to a quick enough process for myself now to be sufficient enough to do it.
That's definitely quick because, we've been talking for a while and we had to postpone things here and there. But you're like, okay, here's the graphic. I'm like, it was like 2 days, I think, and you had this up because
Yeah.
you didn't ask for anything and we didn't give you anything until then. And then bam, it's done. And you're like, okay, pop in and look at it. And I was like, holy crap, that was quick. Because I was starting to I think it was like Wednesday before the show here. You're like, all right, I'm gonna do this quick. I was starting to get a little nervous, like, is this enough time for you to do what you gotta do? Like,
if I'm honest, do you want me to be brutally honest? It takes me about 45 minutes to figure this all out.
Crazy.
So that's like where I've gotten to now. But like, this
Just
is
like
the thing.
the
I don't want
setup
people.
and stuff like that. 45 minutes from like I'm going to start looking at the VR Verdict brand to being kind of done with it. Like learning the whole thing, and that's all in 45 minutes.
Yeah. So I look through and it's like, okay, what is their thing? And this is the thing, like I could have put your Discord, I could have put all the items of your things on there. I could have, talked about all the guests that you've had on your show. There's so many things you could have done. I mean, think of it from someone who wants to know about it. Like it's yeah, I don't know. I think it's just a refining of my thinking process over the years. It's I feel like I've had multiple iterations of just chucking loads of stuff up and realizing actually that's confusing, it's too much, like yeah. Sorry, did I ask you a question then? Or did I go off on a tangent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, some people would think we need 45 minutes just to place the things, but 45 minutes to, sit down and start learning about a brand in order to come up with this. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And I don't want
Quicker than most
anyone
people
to
do.
interpret that as like, oh, well then there's no value. I think
Yeah.
this is why
No,
we
you-
charge
yeah.
30 UK pounds to do this for some.
Get out there.
People are paying us for the time that it's taken me to hone these skills to be able to whack this out quickly. And rather than
Yeah.
kind of being, because I think a lot of people might hear what I've just said and been like, well, if he can do it, I can do it, and then spend
Good
loads of
luck.
time banging their head against a wall trying to figure out how to best market their brand. But
It
yeah,
would take
like,
most people an hour just to do the background graphic and get it somewhat maybe decent.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not accurate for most people.
When I was in design
But
school, I worked with a lot of freelancers, and they're always like, you start out, and you charge so much per hour, and it might take you 5 hours to do something, and then 3 years later, it'll take you 2 hours to do something. But
yeah,
should you cut yourself short and only charge that 2 hours? No, you're going to set your prices to what you're worth, because if you can crank out a good piece of art in 2 hours versus 3 weeks, that's more expensive than spending 3 weeks on somebody who's going to give you something that isn't there yet. So
yeah, and
And-
timescale is not. Sorry, go on. I keep cutting you off. Go on, PJ.
oh,
Sorry.
that's fine. It just shows like if I'm a potential customer of yours and I'm like, hey, I think that I'm interested, I want to check that out. That just tells me that I could, and I don't want to speak for you, but I could maybe have a booth up and running in like a week or so, and just like
Yeah.
how quick you can turn that around and just get it going. That's insane.
Yeah. And this is the thing. So I have to painfully admit, I have a couple of people that I have been in endless back and forth of like, no, that's not right. Like, and, to the point where they've just given up and paid me to do it. So it's like, and it's not me being critical for the sake of being critical. It's being constructive, but then they can't, even with that constructive criticism, not necessarily implement my experience to it. So it's, so yeah, like, sometimes it is better to just bite the bullet and let me do it for you, because I will just analyze it, get it done, and whack out a great thing. And like, there's still changes that can be applied to this, but it's saved on file. It will take me a couple of minutes to kind of tweak it. But yeah, I just feel
And-
like, oh, sorry.
I'm sure you also kind of have a standard, like you don't want a first time person to come in here and see like the most hideous graphic they've ever seen and like, oh, screw this, I'm out of here. Because you also have a standard, I'm sure, of what you want
Yeah.
the appearance to be. So
it's
The
curated
takeaway,
shot. I want it to look good.
yeah, I think the takeaway that you want is someone to come in here, right, and be like, oh, so there are, oh, VR Verdict. Okay, they do podcasts. Awesome. They want to know about people that do stuff in VR. Well, guess what? I'm in VR. My friend does this. I'll tell my friend about that. Oh, they'll be here at this time. Okay, I'll come back tomorrow. Like that's it. You want that thought process to be that quick for the person that's interested. You don't want them to look at mountains of text. Like I didn't put a text on there explaining what the requirements are to be on your show. Doesn't matter. You guys determine that when the
Right.
person's there. You know what I mean? So like, do you know what I'm saying? You just put the key things
Make the
that people
connection,
need to
yeah.
know. You don't have to put elaborate amounts of text explaining terms and conditions and all this. And then so straight away, someone will come here. They will take a mental note of when you're going to be here. And it might not happen straight away. The first week or 2 or 3, that like someone might not come here, or they might revisit and then get reaffirmed by the fact that they've seen it again. Generally, repetition's key. So when they see it the third time, they're like, oh, I'm going to make a note of that. I'm going to come here and and then they'll come here and they'll be able to speak to the show hosts themselves and ask about getting on your show, and then help you guys create more content. And if they love your brand, they know that you sell merch and they can see a few items of it and they know where to find your previous episodes. Simple as that.
Yeah, it's what the best things are like the easy things like this. Like you're just like, it's good when someone says, "Why didn't I think of that?" Like,
Yeah.
and this is right up that alley. So
But keeping to a good, level of visual clarity, it's like I wonder if you get a lot of customers that are like, graphic design is my passion, and they give you something from like the early 2000s websites, and things are like, word.
Yeah.
You got to tone that down because, like, as a customer coming
Yeah.
in, I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to even look at the banner to see what you're at. If that doesn't make sense to me or draw me in, I might still look.
Yeah.
If it actively hurts my retinas and makes me look away, then no one's going to look at the booth. So take the man's advice.
Yeah, like you just want to be able to pull focus and to the right place at the right time. People's reading is always going to be from left to right. Well, unless I think Chinese that read up and down, but generally
Chinese,
people are
yeah.
going to go from left to right. Merch is important and obviously it generates you guys an income, but that's not the immediate pull that we want. We want people to read the
Yeah.
statement, know when you're here, where they can hear you. Simple as that. And then, they do merch. Okay, awesome. So
Yeah.
this is the thing. And ultimately the call to action here is to get people here to talk to you about what it is you do. But I think on that note, boys, I would like to mention the Markets VR approved strip, which is what every store has. So I think PJ is going to move the trusty old cameraman a bit closer.
PJ's summoning the spirits here. I love where people go into like,
So I'll just explain this to Jeremy. So every single stall has to come with a VR Markets approved banner. Now, guys, I appreciate that this has not been filled in with your details, but once we're up and operational, this will be filled with your information. So at a glance, and like we want continuity, so every single stall will have a banner that runs down the right-hand side of it, same dimensions, same format. So anyone, like as a customer, will visit any stall and know exactly where to look to extrapolate that information. And I think that's kind of key. Rather than having one stall that has a website up here and another stall that has a website down there, you want to simplify the process as much as possible. So we got the Markets VR approved strip, and that is approved by myself and Dan. So we always double check like all the links and information you guys have sent us to make sure that we're redirecting your customers to the right place. Because we have to mention security. So we don't want any old avatar stood in your stall impersonating you and telling the customer like, oh yeah, look, you just make a payment to my PayPal, and then DMing them a message and completely deviating them to really incorrect routes that could jeopardize their safety. Like you would never get someone to verbalize their payment information, their delivery information. That all goes through your official links and official processes. So up here, stall name. So that'll be your avatar name at the top. I don't know if you can see that very clearly. That person will be here every whatever day. So the days that are highlighted. So say for example, you're here 2 days or 3 days. It'll be highlighted as so. And then here's the time zones of when that person will be here. So in Los Angeles, 3 to 4. This is an example panel. Toronto, they'll be here between 6 and 7 a.m. Rio, 7, 8 a.m., etc. So anyone at a glance can know when they're going to be here. It's just, validating the times that are on there, but also on here. And then like purchases can still be made without the stall owner present via these Markets VR approved links. So we have put the links in there that validate, where your Redbubble store is, where they can find your podcast. And then there's a button there that will open up a web browser within VR so they can view your products, services, etc. And then at the bottom, we put stall last updated. So I don't know if you find this, but you can go into any world and you're like, well, how long has this been here for? Like, is this an old thing? Is it still operational? Is it alive? So that's why we have the stall kind of last updated signature. And then we've also put here, purchases can still be made without anyone being here, because obviously they can just track your links. We asked them to reference Markets VR at the checkout if there is an option to do so, so that you guys know where that business has come from to validate the reason why you've got a stall in here. You know?
Nice.
So
Yeah,
this is why every store has this. Yeah. And then in the middle of the store, I don't know if you want to rotate the camera just to look here. I've got to apologize because there is a spelling error on here, but we aren't open yet. So when it is open, it will be rectified. We've put Marquests VR, which will get sold. So all the customers that come in here will see this forever looping, rotating screen that will show this basic information. So it's super important that we don't want people, so we say here, your safety pixel market, stall owners will never ask you to verbalize payment or contact information. And if they do, then they're not real. Like they're not meant to be here. Sorry, so it's on
Nice.
a 30-second loop. So it'll come back like, welcome to Pixel Markets. This is what we're called. Shop at virtual reality and get your products in reality. So here, your links within the stall, all information displayed within our stalls are approved and can only be changed and amended by Markets VR. So you guys, all the people that are in here, can't do a change on it without referring to Markets. Yeah, like to the team via email. So if you need to like process a change, then we do that for you. So then people know that there's a mediator between, that's kind of reviewing what's going out. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I do appreciate I've chewed your ear off.
No, that's great.
How do the
That's
purchases
a
actually
great thing.
work?
Yeah.
Sorry. The purchases
What's
actually
that? Sorry.
work. Like when a customer wants to purchase something, see you got you can send them to the stores, but like in here, how do the purchases work? Do you just send them to the markets or?
So this is the thing, right? So the issue is, and we are working with another developer at the moment to kind of help people make purchases within VR, but unfortunately that infrastructure doesn't exist as of yet. So at the moment, people can click the button that was in your stall to see a preview of your website and what should be correct. Then if they've spoken to you and they're compelled by what it is you do, it would be enough for them to search you out on Google, or refer
So
to
you're
what's
just making the
wrote
connection,
on.
okay?
Yeah, so like sometimes you would go to a shop and you would appreciate that the products on the stand are there for visual representation. However, if you want to buy one, you have to go to the counter, ask for it, and get them to get it. And I suppose it's a similar process here. It's the same logic,
Makes sense. Yeah, sometimes they have the plastic sandwiches that make you hungry. No.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I like that safety net, the firewall you guys between the customer and the thing. Because I didn't even think when we first came in there. Usually my first thing is, okay, how could this break apart? But I didn't think of somebody coming in here and impersonating you and then impersonating
Yeah.
a owner.
Yeah. And like the thing
Good
is,
that
like,
people are warning.
the chances of that actually happening are probably pretty low. Like don't, but it could happen, So I feel like any customer that comes in here that reads this is like, oh, okay, so just only use the VR approved strip to kind of validate what it is that I'm doing.
Yep.
Yeah, because then it's been checked and overlooked by the team.
Yeah, that's why having the standard strip on each in the same spot, like you're saying, with identical everything, I think it just makes you feel safe and like more secure and trustworthy when you come in here. So that's always a good thing.
Yeah, and just keeping it uniform, because I feel like a lot of people, I that's I think that's the beauty of social media is that you're all individual, but the format is predictable. And I feel like that's ultimately what needs to be implemented in here. Everyone can be individual, have their brand. But the format needs to be universal, as in, I know where to locate information on any stall. It shouldn't be difficult and it shouldn't vary from stall to stall. Hence why we implemented the Markets VR approved strip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just kind of curious if you want to give some examples of vendors you've had in here, because I know you have some like with real world physical objects that ship around the world, but I think you've also had or are going to have like virtual ones like services like I make avatars. I'm going to pop in here, have a booth. You can click a link and go right to that app at some point? Like what are your
Yeah.
plans for all that?
So that's a great question. So like actually I will mention that 3 of the stores that are coming in, which we're still like, obviously we're not launched yet, we're not open. But the 3 stalls that we got in here are not actually anything to do with VR. People that have not used Space, who not got a VR headset. These are people that, say for example, this gentleman over here on stall number 9, he does a jewelry company. He found us through Instagram and we've been sorting his stall out. He does like kind of these really intricate wire-based jewelry with like these precious gemstones. And he is not even in VR. So like he just basically joined Space through the 2D version, and when he's operational, he'll just be using his laptop next to him while he's making his jewelry, waiting for customers to come up and talk to him about what it is he does and makes orders. So I don't know if I mentioned this earlier in the show, and apologies if I did, but we did have a first iteration of the market, and I think it was shown in the video. That was the very first market that we did, and it had a few issues with glitching because there was just too many stalls in one location, too much data for the kind of like baseline headset. So we've simplified it now into batches of 10 market stalls. Then, so this is like just 10 in here. And then obviously from 12 to 23, you go through that portal into another version of the market and so on and so forth. But yeah, so on here, we've done another option. So there's a button that you can press, which obviously opens up. Sorry, I'm walking away from your cameraman. I appreciate that.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So there's like a button that would open up the website, but also there's people that have like their own virtual worlds within virtual reality. So there's also a teleport button. So people that come in here that are familiar with the realm of virtual reality can hit that teleport button and be taken into a world that's completely dedicated to that person about their stall. So they can hit it, portal in, and then someone can
That's awesome.
elaborate on their goods and services, and you can be taken into a world from Markets VR to that person's world. And if they develop assets and 3D things, then you can go there to see it. The thing that we wanted to do in here, like I said, it was just keep it uniform and keep it simple and have a simple basic statement message that compelled your audience to go and follow what it is you do. And then by all means, take them off and show them your worlds, what you do. But the only requirement is that if you have a portal, you have to come back to this world. So, I mean, they don't have to come back, but they have to host a portal that brings them back to the original market that they came from. So you can whisk people off, show them all the fancy things you do, and then say, yeah, that goes back to the market just there, and then they'll portal back in here, and they can carry on looking through the other stalls. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
PJ, was that your original question? I can't remember what the question was.
I love that. That's awesome. It just your passion is amazing. I love it. The question was just like different goods and services offered in here, like between physical and
Perfect.
digital. But
Yeah.
with that portal linking thing, like, from our booth, it would be really awesome. Someone comes up or explaining it, they've never seen or heard the show. Hop in there, it takes them to a build of our clubhouse, we call it, where we do our show in VR. And kind of like give them a little tour because we have plans to, expand that and stuff. That just would be really cool. Like, hey, let me just show you, and you just hop in there and
Yeah.
hop back, and that's really
People
awesome.
can visit
Maybe,
this.
like,
Yeah.
build a version of our booth like in an alt space world and link it back and forth. It'd be fun.
Yeah, I think this is the problem. We're still like I think we're ahead of the curve at the moment, and it's only ever going to get more immersive cross-platform. But at the moment, you have to kind of operate within the ecosystem that you're in. So right now we're operating within alt space. So unfortunately, we can only take people to other alt space-based worlds and assets.
Yep.
But yeah, like obviously you guys operate on a different platform, which would be fantastic if like that avatar could just whiz off onto another platform, see your world,
Yeah.
and whiz off back to here. And I think these things will come if these companies don't get too possessive of owning the market.
Yeah,
if you provide a
exactly.
good service, then that's all that matters. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
like you said, PJ, we do operate. So like for example, the jewelry company over there is someone that has an Instagram account that creates their own real jewelry that in reality, and you can order a physical real thing in virtual reality that's delivered in reality. But then there's also people that develop digital assets like in virtual worlds, which you can also buy from them. And then there's also people that host events and services. So I suppose you guys kind of come under that bracket. You can promote and talk about your events and services. Yeah.
Yeah. It gives you a little platform. Like, say we had an event coming up, you could, get details here at our markets booth and just have a little meetup there. And one
Yeah.
thing I do think I don't think we've pointed out yet, and I think is awesome. Every vendor you have, one of the requirements is if they have physical goods, they have to be able to ship worldwide, or there's no
Yeah.
booth. Correct?
100%. I do, because the
I
thing
think
is, the
that's
nature of the metaverse is that we operate, anyone around the globe can be in here. I don't
yeah,
want someone to come in here to a store that provides physical jewelry and they're like, oh, I only ship within the UK or I only ship within the USA. The requirement is that you ship globally because I don't want anyone to come in here and not be able to get something that they might like. Because that only leaves a sour taste in their mouth,
yep,
like, and a bad
yeah.
experience. So yeah, it has to be global platforms or global e-commerce. Yeah,
I
not
know when we were
regional.
first talking about doing this episode, and I read that, or you said that to me, and I'm like, oh crap, do ours ship worldwide? And I went and checked, and I'm like, well, the first sale we made was to a friend of ours in Japan, so I'm like, we're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was on a store recently looking up stuff, and everything I wanted to like look at was like, oh, this person ships to 31 countries, but not the USA. And I was like,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
then why am I
oh,
wasting time
like,
looking at it?
so affronted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like it would obviously it would represent that brand uniquely in a negative light. If they're hosting a stall in here and they're denying 2 or 3 customers because of their shipment, it's only going to leave a sour taste in their mouth about that brand. But not only that, it's going to leave a sour taste about Markets VR and what we're providing. So
Yeah.
we don't,
Associate.
we want everyone that comes in here to all be a part of it. It's like, because of where you are, like it's not a no. It can't be a no for them. Yeah.
I think that's also a somewhat, call it maybe a baby step to getting to like a metaverse environment where all inclusive. We're having chats before this about meeting and talking to people, but it's just you don't have to think of those hurdles and worry about that as a concern. I think that's awesome. It's just helping things move and progress forward. So
Yeah, definitely. And most services do operate globally, so, and if you don't operate globally, then that could be something that you can consider as a growth step. Like, we shouldn't have to step back as Markets VR. If anything, it should be on you to step further forward to make your brand more compatible with what it is we're trying to offer. I have had some kind of pointed emails about the fact that someone can have a stall in here based off the fact that it's geolocation. It's not discrimination, it's inclusivity. The fact that we're not allowing you to be in here, we're not discriminating against you, we're encouraging you to be more inclusive. So
yeah,
invalidation is not necessarily us discriminating against. It's actually we're telling you to be more inclusive. Yeah.
yep, quite the opposite. And I think it's super interesting. You as a digital market, and maybe I'm wrong here, but from what you've kind of shown me and I've seen is that you've actually started off with more physical merchandise, and you've started
Yeah.
off with more people not in VR than in VR, and that just kind of that's another step forward, and just getting people that don't have VR, that at least they know what it is and it's an option. Like, that blows my mind. Like, it just seems like you'd
Yeah.
have way more digital and other things, but don't yet. So
I
it's
think
pretty cool.
the standpoint that I took on it is that I think a lot of people want to create this super technically challenging, like impressive interface. And I think all that stuff will come, but I don't think the person that sells jewelry in the real world, or the person that sells candles in the real world, or sells real things in the real world, are ready to make that jump from here's me hosting products on Instagram, having something that I'm completely clueless about. It's kind of the segue between is what we're going for. We want people to be able to easily, with a little push, adapt to what it is we're trying to do. And once their foot's in, they will understand the iterations that will follow. They will then be more on board with the idea of then having a physical, like, not physical, sorry, like a 3-dimensional gram that someone can pick up. But I don't think it's necessary at this point. We're trying to bridge the gap between the person that would otherwise not use this to use it, without being
Yeah.
too technically difficult. Yeah.
And those things will kind of just, as the technology grows and proceeds, like those steps will just come to where someday you probably, like the person selling jewelry, like there will be a little 3D model of it you can pick up and look at, and that'll be neat, but not quite needed yet. So
Yeah, and it's still early days, so let's not run before we walk. I think that's the mantra. It's like
Yeah.
let everyone slowly walk and climatize to the idea of this before they climatize to the idea of all these wonderful, amazing 3D graphics where they're completely associated from that outcome. Yeah.
yeah.
You don't want to solve problems that don't exist, and then they're useless. Maybe this is fine. Maybe if you added physical objects to it, maybe there's something you didn't think about, but you've added them too soon and pushed people away.
And you couldn't
Yeah.
pop up a booth in a week, because there's more
Yeah.
technical stuff to it.
Yeah. And I think it would confuse people if one stall suddenly had loads of these assets in there and then one was just a banner. There's going to be a discrepancy. Whereas if everyone's got these 2D banners like inside the world where they can come up and talk to a 3D avatar, and that is really understandable and translatable to
Yeah.
multiple people. Whereas if suddenly one's got loads of videos and glitz and glamour and one hasn't, and one's got loads of physical assets, I think it would just confuse people. Like, oh, so what do I do? How do I buy this? Whereas,
Yeah.
this isn't too different to a website that would explain all your information, and that's enough. Yeah, you just need
Yeah.
to sell the idea. Yeah.
I'm excited to see, because we used to do our show in Spatial Ape, which was like a meetup for developers, and it was awesome. And there's people in there all the
Trade
time.
show.
Yeah, I'm excited to see like just this place kind of full of vendors, and like meeting other vendors and just coming in here and chatting with them. And I can see this really
Yeah.
kind of expanding into just a place to come look at. And I think I kind of said this last time we talked in here. It kind of reminds me of going to like a Renaissance fair or something, where you just kind of check out each booth, and if it's always changing, always being added to.
Yeah.
Which I think maybe, I don't know how to work with the PC camera guy, but each set of stalls, like you said, you have 10 stalls per each, and then the layout and kind of backgrounds change, so it's like a different environment. Just as a customer, just spending an afternoon walking through all the markets, chatting with the people, I that sounds really awesome. Because that's
Yeah.
why I go to Renaissance fairs, just to check everything out and
Mhm.
chat and see things. And yeah,
Yeah.
really exciting.
And it's quite nice when we had the first iteration of the market, there was loads of people just hanging out. So it's quite nice. Like that's why we kind of keep it a bit of a social space between. So like like if a few people came in, don't necessarily have to gate crash one person's stall. They can all kind of congregate in the middle, and then dart off. So even stall owners were out in the middle talking. Then if someone was at the store, they'd be like, "All right, guys, back in a minute," and went over and be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
how's it going? Do you have any questions? I'm the owner of this stall." Yeah. So
Yep.
it was really nice, and when we were open before, it was amazing. But then we had to shut it down because of issues. So we're relaunching now. We're not open yet, so we're going to hold off until we get many more stalls ready for an open day, rather than kind of drip feeding it in as we did before.
Yeah, that'd be really neat. And myself, as I don't know what you'd call us, but having a podcast, and then like I stream when I play games and stuff, like I would love to stream just to, when I'm in the booth for when my slotted time, just stream it and
Yeah.
kind of see like, hey guys, how's it going, and this and that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It just sounds fun.
I think the options that will come are limitless, and I think where it's at now is nice. Keep it simple, walk before we run, and we'll get there. And I think that bridging that gap between audiences that don't otherwise use VR is a really key point. Not just trying to pitch to people that already operate or understand VR.
I'm just gonna need an apron and a broom so I can just kind of stand in my booth and
Just
sweep till
sweep,
people
yeah, while
come
you're
up.
not doing anything.
We'll
Just have
dust.
digital dust. Yeah.
Do the iconic, I'm turning my back like, oh, hey there, welcome in.
Yeah.
Didn't see
Yeah,
you.
definitely. But it is
Um,
lovely. So, like, we want people to just be able to, like, work at home. Like, because a lot of people do work at home now, and to have their digital storefront like this, and then they can just be doing things at home, like working at home. And then whenever they hear someone, they can just swipe their screen, be straight in and ready to talk to any customer that has any questions about what it is they do. Yeah.
yeah, I think that is just super intelligent as of itself, but then also just like, again, bringing non-VR people into the VR world and just kind of spreading that knowledge further than it is. It's awesome.
Yeah, we're good. We're getting a lot of interest, which is exciting. So, we're getting a lot of people talking to us, and but the thing is, we haven't got a definitive launch date yet. So, a lot of people are just waiting now. Like, we've got companies that are ready to go in, but they're just waiting because, like I said, we only want to open when it's ready. Like, as in,
Yeah.
we don't want a haphazard week start to it. We want all
Yep.
the yeah, like so just another reason, if you don't mind me, I don't know if you're wrapping up now, but just to kind of talk about what we learned from the first experience over this one. So in the first one, it was a massive market with multiple stalls, but people obviously operate in a multitude of time zones, loads of different time zones. So what we're doing now is because they're small batches of 10 or 11. So this is actually 11, sorry. And then if you go through that portal, there's another market in a different formation, but and also another batch of 11. Is corresponding them per time zone. So, say for example, people that are in PST, we would put all the PST time zones together so that all the stalls in PST would be here at the same time or within the same day, overlapping times. Because
Right.
the way these platforms operate is that the world that's most popular will get put to the top based off the amount of users that are in it. So the most popular destination. So that's how we're going to
Nice.
do it. So we're going to start before it was haphazard. So we'd have someone from the UK in, and then a couple of hours later, someone from the US would come in. So there'd always be people in here, but it would always be low figures. So now we're waiting to get enough people to get their businesses in here to group them together into these batches of 10 or 11s, and then have 5 or 6 schools open at a time because they're actually there because of their time zone. It's more relative. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
One way to beat the freaking time zone issue.
Yeah, let's put them together in time zones.
Nice.
I wonder if there's a way we can like a like a guest book and come in and say, I visited your shop, and that would let the shop owner know that, hey, I have interest at these times. Maybe I show up at a different time.
Yeah.
Because again, if we pick 8 a.m. on a Sunday, well, is that going to work for anybody else?
Yeah.
Um,
But I
might
think
be
the
a
good
new
thing
thing.
is as a stall owner, when you're there, is to ask people for feedback on your stall. There's no shame
Mhm.
on that. And if you're reciprocal to it and, not too in your ego about it, remember that, one person's critique might be a reflection on them. It's not necessarily a reflection on you.
Right.
But then if that same critique comes back 3 or 4 times, then maybe take it on board. We had that issue with Dates VR. So, we had a few people critique something that we were doing. And I think it's quite easy for me to be like, oh, well, how dare you get out, and get kind of caught up in my ego about it. It's like, actually, if a couple of people are saying it, then there's probably some truth to it. So then implement it. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
there's no right and ready formula at this stage in the game. I think there's no tried and true tested way that this has been proven yet. So I think you have to have an element of okay, here's what we've done. What do you think? What feedback do you have? And take those notes on board and just relay it to the team, and we adapt it accordingly until we find that sweet spot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
that same point, Wookie was kind of mentioning, do you guys have a way for metrics for how many people came to this section of booths or each individual booth, like if they click on something or
Yeah, so there is a way that we can run your button through like an analytic. So, say for example, we could run a URL that then opens your URL kind of thing, so that we could show who's been clicking it. And we've not implemented that yet. That is something that's in the pipeline.
okay.
But we do have world joins, not necessarily stall joins. So we could say how many people came into this world with a batch of 11 stalls.
Sure.
But we can't give you exact, like, your stall readings, you know?
It's still
Hear
pretty
that,
Yeah.
hard.
everyone? Come push our button.
Push it.
Yeah.
Push the button.
Yeah.
Push the button.
But it's great, like, you will have people that listen to your show that will probably want to come and chat to you, and knowing that they can come in here and actually talk to you at a set time,
Mhm.
I think is actually wonderful, because you'll actually be talking to your fans, or people that have a story to tell, and it might just be another avenue to get people on the show, which is good. Yeah, and obviously you can push your merch if people are long-time fans. I will have to say, so sorry, I know I'm kind of driving the narrative a bit, and I do apologize. I just have a
No,
lot
no,
of
no, go
ideas and
for
a
it.
lot of passion. It's all flowing out of me.
It's
So,
awesome.
like,
Let it flow.
yeah, we so anyone that wants a stall in here, the first month is completely free. No, because we do
Awesome.
appreciate we are starting something. We don't necessarily have a solid proof of concept yet and whether it will really fly. So that's why we say to people, you can have your first month here free, get your stall set up, see how it goes. And at the end of the month, if it wasn't for you, then there's no hard feelings. We go our separate ways. Um, I think a lot of people are trying to charge off the bat for something that hasn't quite been proven yet, and I'm definitely not about that. I know we're not about that. We're definitely wanting to get people in here, try it to see how it would work for them. Obviously, understand that take the results with a pinch of salt, because it takes a while to establish a brand and establish a reputation, and what those things are. So yeah, we always say, you guys can have the first month free, and if you want, you can buy a month at a set fee, you can get 3 months at a reduced fee, or you can get the year for a further reduced fee. Then they have that stall for the year, depending on how they
Yeah.
feel it was effective. Yeah.
And to be honest, I thought the rates were like super fair. Like if you're a shop selling, like we're a podcast, we have some merch, but our main thing is our podcast. It's a little different.
Yeah.
But like the jewelry person over there, like that's how they make their living. Like I think that's just opens up an avenue, and for the price you guys have, I think it's so fair to get not only
Yeah.
more sales, but just get your name out there and in different markets. No pun intended.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think it's worth it. Totally worth it.
But the thing is, like, I could charge the price of what a physical place would be, but like, let's be real, I have no overhead. Like, I'm not going to be disgusting about the pricing. Like, it's not on. Like, I'm not going to say to you, you have to pay the same price as a physical store. I just don't think that's
Yeah.
fair. Like, I don't have to. If a tree breaks, I can import another one in a moment. I'm not going to charge the fee of what it would take to clean a real venue. These pricing
Yeah.
strategies based off of like real brick and mortar venue are justified given the fact of what you have to do to maintain it. Whereas here
Yeah.
it's built, I don't need to maintain it. I just need to change your images when you need to change the images. That fee, I think, directly represents the truth of the administration of what needs to be done here. I'm not in the game of ripping people off. I want this vision to be realized and charge fairly for it. Yeah.
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 You saying all that makes me go back to my Renaissance fair thing, and like there's no urinal trough you have to clean. There's no like
Yeah.
horse manure, like all that stuff. It's digital, so you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about it.
Yeah. The thing is, the only thing that that I have to do is I have to maintain a relationship with the vendors in here. The vendors are
Yeah.
responsible for the relationship with the customers. So, like, for me, I'm dealing with 11 stalls in here. You guys are dealing with multiple customers. So like, I'm realistic about what it takes for me to run it and what I would like to be paid for in order to do it. Yeah, not about what my greed wants me to take for it. Yeah. And I know that
Yeah.
feels like a diss, and I'm not dissing anyone. Like, each to their own. Yeah.
I think it's
It's
super neat. That,
interesting.
like having another world, like, pardon me, doing a revamp of our app just for podcasting and stuff. So we get that kind of set up. It'd be nice to import it over here into a world. And I like the YouTube integration because we could have a YouTube like, hey, if you're an audience member, this is what happened. Like do a little YouTube video about each section of your. Again, ours is just a booth, but like if you had even a VR game, you just have like a little import like the intro level or the lobby level and have some YouTube videos about stuff. Hey, if you like my game, check it out. Just go through that portal and they go get
Yeah.
information, come back, and be like, well, shit, it's better than a website, than
Yeah, you
better
guys
than
could
a
host
blog.
your own world. And actually, the store that we're stood at now, the guy's an asset developer, so he builds
Mhm.
worlds in Altspace. So, say for
Well,
example,
we
you
gave
could
him a
then.
free plug because I got his
I know
logo in here
it's
for the
full in
last 20
shot.
minutes, so
Yeah,
I kind of feel like he might owe us some help on that regard.
yeah. He's a good friend of mine, and I'm sure he would be willing to help out. And he charges reasonable, so it's good. So yeah, like for example, you could have a portal at this stall, and then just take someone off into a world of all the things you do, which you can plug your YouTube thing, and people can hit play on a player and watch sections of previous shows, and have all the merch and all the images spread out, so people can really have a look for everything you do. Again, like you got to think of this place as a hub to tantalize your audience with what it is you do, not give them everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's so bizarre to me the power of VR, like it's just amazing because I would in the real world never be excited or even think about like working retail.
Yeah.
But in here, like I'm excited to people come, check out the booth and chat and like merch, is great, but it's not like I'm never gonna like push it or like suggestive sell and all that, but it's just helpful for us. But um it's just exciting and that's just like VR turning some real life thing that I would never do purposefully and make it fun and entertaining. Like it's
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. And I think you will get people come here to just visit you guys. Like I think your fans that listen to your show, that what is you guys, they would probably just want to come in and talk to you. So
because
and they would know someone, and they would tell you about someone who should be on your show, and that kind of networking. Yeah. And it's
and
good to
that's
talk to your fans. You learn more from them. Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. That's kind of how when we were in Spatial Ape again, not to go to something else, but that we encourage people to come before and after the show because you could just join in no matter who you were and be part of the conversation and stuff. And we're getting back to that, but not there yet. So yeah, just hearing things from your actual fans and like, oh, it'd be cool if you guys did this. And it's like, you know what? That's amazing. I would have never thought of that. Like just that
Yeah.
simple little chats.
Value of the community group aspect, and this is weird. Like this is nostalgic for me. Again, I do miss our spatial lab. I think I don't know what happened to them. They closed down. But I miss the trade show element because you'd be over here talking. There's other people. It just kind of feels pleasantly crowded. You can see this place. This scratches that same itch. And oddly enough, like pandemic hasn't changed my life very much because I'm just kind of a loner homebody anyway. So it hasn't really done much.
Yeah.
But girlfriend and
Oh,
I
I can
needed
relate.
something specific. Yeah, we needed something specific from a mall of all places, like a year or so. We just kind of ran
Yeah.
in, ran through the bookstore entry and did stuff. And I kind of got nostalgic for being a kid going to malls when I always hated them because I just hated going to the mall. But then since I
Yeah.
hadn't been in a place like that for a while, which would be like this, I was kind of like, oh, this is kind of necessary for a human experience. But now, especially with COVID and things like this, when this place has a few people running through it, I think it'd be without any updates, without any changes, it'd just be kind of a charming place to be, like PJ
Yeah.
brushing the dirt on the digital dirt off our digital floor. Be
Yeah.
be fun. I'm kind of excited once it launches just to go check shops out.
Oh, guys, given that you've given, Markets VR this exposure, and we have got a few more interviews in the pipeline, which is great. We'll definitely give you guys a free store as a thank you, so like that will always be
Aw.
yours, and
Thanks,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
and no, it's okay. No, but obviously, like it's a scratching of each other's back situation. You're helping share light about what it is we're doing, and we would like to in turn return the favor. So it's like, you know, what will be great is that stall number 11 will always be yours of the first market, which is there's like, so the numbers go up and up and up. So this will
Mhm.
be the portal, what the main portal one. But there will be a hub where people can jump from, like, you know, market 1 to 11 or to whatever 70 to whatever. So but
Like
this
a
is like the
directory.
original, the OG. Yeah, the OG
Yeah.
market. Yeah.
Maybe we can put
This
like
was
the Markets VR little cute little market icon like on our podcast permanently. Just
yeah.
throw that
And
in
Yeah,
there.
just to show people that you have a market. You have actually
Yeah.
got a PNG for that if people want to use it, available on markets. Like, it's kind of, we got it so people can plug it and then show where they're always going to be, and you can has a little blurb so that people know that you're going to be
awesome.
there. Just says what times you're there. Yeah,
I'm
that
sure
would
when
be
we
good.
redo the, we can just pin it somewhere in our booth. Just always be there.
Yep.
Yeah, and we're gonna so we've actually got physical stickers printed as well for some of the stores that, so I haven't told many people this, and I will tell you guys. So there's a few shops local to me, physical shops that sell their goods and services around the world. And we've got like stickers that they can put in their shop window to show that they have a digital store as well, and they're actually operating in a real shop in a real town.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah, so like there is some exciting things coming. It's just, you know, how long's a piece of string at this point? We don't know when
Yeah.
the vision will be truly realized, you know. So I think it's just kind of people like ourselves that are really kind of pushing this narrative that I think will, you know, the more people that come in here, the more people will see, oh, actually I should get a stall, you know, and I should have this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, and if you could, you know, again, I don't
We
know
stand in
how
front of your
everything.
stall.
Yeah,
Because
that might be
I think
better.
like people need to see your one. Hang on, let's just move Jeremy quickly. On Jeremy, cameraman. You can do it. Here he is. Oh, he hasn't got good control over Jeremy though. That's the issue. There you go. Get this one in shot.
There we go. But I was saying, let me work over here. Like, you know, right now, like shops have been, you know, social media exploded, and this might sound to younger people, but it wasn't always a thing. So, you know, I see those taglines that have like, you know, find us on Foursquare and this and that and that. And if you could get markets on that same banner and those same logos and all that, like that would be amazing.
So, you know, like when you go to like a food place and they would have like a Just Eat sticker outside or whatever variation you guys have in the States. Like, do you have Deliveroo? Like you might call it something different over there.
It's like
What's
Uber
like a
Eats
food?
and
Yeah,
Yeah,
Uber
like
Eats.
that.
So
Yeah.
some of these food takeaway places will have a sticker on their window saying Uber Eats. So we've got stickers for these shops that are going to be coming in here saying in markets we are. Like, and they
Yeah.
put the sticker on their window to show that they have a digital store where you can just go up and speak
Yeah.
to them digitally rather than having to go to their physical store.
Because again, I hate to keep going back to the Renaissance Fair thing, but like my wife will talk to like just all kinds of stuff like soaps, candles, like all that, and instead of buying stuff and carrying it around all day through the entire experience, you know, you'll get someone's card or link or something. I
Yeah.
think that's awesome too because again, we just went on vacation and we were out, you know, shopping. We didn't want to carry a bunch of crap, so we just get their details and order stuff online. So I think that's really freaking smart, and that's, I hope that works really
Yeah.
well.
And what's great, like, you know, with the previous iteration of the store, what's wonderful is that everyone that owns a store has kind of got your back. So, like, when you're not there, another store owner will come over and just be like, "Oh yeah, you know, so and so's not here at the moment, but you know, if you've got any questions, I might be able to answer it for you." You know, like, and it's kind of
Yeah.
nice because they become your neighbors because the people that generally
Yeah.
get in these stores and where their place is generally where they stay. And obviously
Nice.
there is a, you know, sometimes we change it around, but you'll get matey with the person who owns that stall and that stall, and like you would have spoken, you would have interacted, and they'll vouch for you. If someone's at the stall, just be like, oh yeah, they're normally here on this day, this time, you know, just kind of justify
Yeah.
what's written on your stall. Yeah,
That is so
which is
amazing.
what's
Like
lovely.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just for the sake of your listeners, if you don't mind, just like a call to action for anyone that's interested in getting a stall in here. They can find us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, and that's at MarketsVR. So you just search Markets VR. And it's this little logo, which I think you've seen in a few places here, but it's like a little like rectangle shape
Yeah,
icon
it's on our
of
video
the
overlay
market.
of the entire episode. So,
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
and we'll also
then
have all
people-
your links in the show notes of both the video and the audio. So, click on those links and get in touch with Mark here. You won't regret it.
Yeah. And also, guys, there's that store that's actually next to VR Verdict is available. So first come, first serve.
We could be neighbors. We could hang out and buy stuff together.
Yeah. So if anyone basically
Get trade.
messages us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, if you send like direct message us your email, or you can email info@marketsvr.com, and we'll send you a PDF that's a step-by-step guide on how to get set up in here, which is super simple. Just like some do's and don'ts, the pricing strategy, so it explains how much it costs, the first month's free, everything you would need to know to get set up. And then if you're stuck on your stool design, which can happen, and we can tackle that for you and get that turnaround done pretty quick and have something similar like this set up that best represents your brand.
And again, that first month free, like how are you gonna pass that up? How can you miss? And I'm assuming
and
you
we'll
said
also-
you were not launched
Sorry.
yet. So if someone was inquiring about that first month free, I'm assuming it would start from like
when
the
it's
day
launched.
you open the
Yeah.
doors and okay.
Yeah, it doesn't start from when we've done your like it's once it's in and once we're open and we're operational again. And also we're in the process, so we've actually got 2 more interviews in next week. We're looking for someone to be the head of sales for us, so someone that would be in here in avatar form, because we're doing a few more recruitment fairs in the weeks coming, for someone to represent Dates VR, to talk to potential business owners, to talk them through anything that they don't understand. You probably understand what's happening in here now if you're watching this and thus far. If anyone that doesn't know what's happening can come to these fairs, speak to a representative, and they can get you set up. The good thing is they're on commission as well. They get paid and it's commission. So if anyone's interested in that, they actually get paid for a shift to work the floor,
Wow.
explain to businesses how it works, and for every recruited stall that they get, once they go past that free phase and start paying, they get a commission. Yeah, so
Nice.
we want it to all grow together. Like I don't, no greed here. It's about kind of making a vision come true. Yeah.
Yeah. See, now you can get a job in VR.
Read on a resume or a CV.
Yeah. To be honest, we're not. It's just someone's ability to relay what I've said confidently. I don't really care about your qualifications. If you're good at selling the idea, that's all I care about. So it doesn't matter about your CV. I just care that you are. The person will come in here and I'll talk to them and just be like, right, sell this idea to me. And if they can do that well, then they've got it. It doesn't. I think, I need to see that you're a good person that can talk and relay an idea to the masses. That's what matters
Yeah.
to me. Experience is irrelevant. I mean, your qualifications are irrelevant. I think experience is important, and your confidence is what I'm looking for. Yeah.
I meant like
You just
And
have
that
to be
goes
able
into
to sell
CV,
an
like showing the brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to
Most
be
of the
able to
store
sell a
owners-
ketchup popsicle to someone in white gloves, and then you're in.
But to be honest, most of the stall owners talk about the benefits. People that come in anyway who would be interested, and that bodes well for them. Unfortunately, stall owners don't get commission. Yeah.
If
I think
the stall owner becomes a sales guy and covers the shift, and that's his time in the stall, also selling stuff to people who come in the area.
Yeah.
I
it
love
would be
you
a good
taking
idea.
the simple approach and just kind of looking to grow, and like you said, not be greedy and just be fair and just
Yeah.
grow every part of it at the same time with as well with like VR as a platform and all that. I love that.
Yeah. And I just want people to have a nice time in here. Like as stall owners, I want you to want to spend your time in here.
Yeah.
You should feel compelled to be like, oh, I've got to do my shift, like log in. then people will just come up and talk to you, and it's
You know,
wonderful. It's really, you're
and
enabling people to talk.
and you were saying like people with physical shops that aren't in VR, like you're kind of saying like that's the route that everyone should take. But I don't think you believe me when I said this, but like with the time that I'm planning to be in here, like I'll probably be in here in VR mostly because I'm weird like that. Like I can just sit in a space and like think and like do things.
Yeah.
I'll probably be the only one like that for a while until things really take off for VR. But
I think the
like you have
danger
no
is,
idea how long like Wookie and I sit in our booth before and after
yeah, just
shows
chatting,
and just talk.
chat. I think that's brilliant. Well, the thing is,
Yeah.
like, say for example, someone that has to physically do something in the physical world,
Yeah,
like for
exactly.
example, that gentleman over there that has a jewelry store, it's not going to benefit him to be in a VR headset. So, and it's also just enables him to be free with his hands, with like physical things
Exactly.
in the real world, and then he can just look at his screen and talk to anyone that comes up and talks to him. So yeah, obviously there will be times in here where it won't be busy, and there'll be times when
Yep.
you might just be stood here, like there's loads of idle avatars around the stalls, and then there'll be moments
Yep.
when it is busy, and then you will be fully engaged. So yeah, I definitely discourage stall owners to use VR headsets, but instead access it via a desktop.
I mean, like, easier while you're editing an episode, or if I'm, coding something or doing some research, we could both have the 2D version up and then just be talking back and forth, like we're chatting during that, even if nothing's going on. You probably
Yeah.
see us
Yeah.
in here like this, or like Jeremy over there, like just chatting
Yeah.
away.
But it's good. So, like, you could just have it open and just be available. And, like, it might not click with people straight away, but as time progresses, people know you're always going to be there at that time, and they might just come in and say hi,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
Is
who
there
do you
anything
also
we
like?
didn't?
Appreciate it.
Oh,
I had one quick question. So in the video, and
Go
you
on.
might have already answered this. I might have been looking around at stuff and missed it. But in the video, there was like multiple shops on tiers, and it was all complicated. Is that what you kind of simplified into this design?
Yeah, so that was the first iteration in the advert. And unfortunately, it just came with just too many issues and bugging out, and it was crashing people's Oculus headsets. And obviously, we need to accommodate for the most base level of VR,
Right.
because I think the sad reality is, I'm an Oculus owner, and I think a lot of people are. And GPUs on these things are quite low. They can't deal with like the loading that I wanted it to have. But that's why we had to batch them like this into smaller
Yeah.
markets, then portals into
I want to
other
make sure,
ones,
like,
so that they
I
make
liked
quite
how it looked. Yeah, I definitely liked
Yeah.
it. Look, I'm on a Quest 1, so I probably appreciate the simplification without knowing, because I
Yeah.
didn't the other one. So
So you had no glitching issues in here, but the problem is with the other market, people would come in their Oculus and have such a terrible glitching situation that they would crash out, and then that was when it was starting to tarnish the brand. I don't want people to have a bad association with Markets VR. I want them to have it's a simple, easy. Yeah, that's what we want to kind of make sure we get in the bag. Yeah.
that's 100% accurate though, because again, going back to Spatial Ape, like we about 45
there's a lot
minutes
of
into
issues.
our chat, you'd kind of like fall through the floor a little bit, and then like every episode, every guest was like they'd sink into their chair and be like, "What the hell is this?" Like, and we had fun and it was fine, but like it definitely like there were things that would happen where it's like that's really kind of a showstopper and it's really distracting.
I forget about it, like, rose-colored glasses, or how you view the history. But it was a lot of fun. But yeah, we had a raised platform, and they gave us like a table and chairs, and it was quaint. And then, like PJ said, somebody would fall through that and be like standing just on the floor part of the raised platform, would no longer have like the physics collider or whatever you could walk on.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
like, oh, something's about to happen, and somebody drop, or
Would go.
wouldn't nobody be able to see him? Like, it would be interacting here, but your avatar would disappear for other people. But you wouldn't know,
Yeah.
because it was starting to degrade after about a half.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's definitely a wiser choice to simplify. Those were big area. That was a big area.
Yeah, I honestly, guys, I really appreciate your time. Like, I
no,
feel like I've
it's-
said everything that I needed to say about Markets VR and some. I
Mhm.
feel like like I said, I warned you previously that I can go off on a right
Yep.
tangent, and I'm sure I did, and I'm sure I'm listening back to this and be like, oh my god, we'll hone it in a bit.
Oh, that's
um,
half the reason we do the podcast is just to hear developers' passions, and you know, whether you're, I don't know if you are quite a dev, but I think you are. I mean, you created this, but
yeah.
just to hear that passion and just to see where it goes and grows into, and like that's just so interesting to me anyway, and I love it. So
It's inspiring.
don't
too.
feel bad about that at all. Like,
Before we sum up, I would love to, if you don't mind, take you guys into the next section of the market just to show the different formats. But you'd have to push Jeremy Brett through
For sure.
first, and then we can
Coming
follow
with.
him in after. And then like I said, I'd love to come on your guys' shows to talk about Dates VR as well, because that's a
Yeah,
lovely
that'd be
little
fun.
platform that we've done.
it'd be well. He
All right,
can meet someone.
cameraman, off you go. See you in a minute.
It's good.
There's someone.
And then I think you have to press enter world for Jeremy.
Audio is back to spatial, I guess.
Yeah, I'm on loudspeaker. 1 second. You guys, 1 second. Just on. So you're both off. Yeah, okay, good. I'll just loudspeaker you. And then I will. Jeremy, you just need to take yourself off mute before I can put you on loudspeaker. Sorry.
I
Not
am.
Jeremy, sorry. Pete. Okay, awesome. Awaiting consent to unmute. Oh, sorry. I tried to unmute Jeremy. Sorry, Jeremy. There'll be a notification on his screen that you might want to remove a PJ. If you just want to check that.
Got it.
So yeah, are we all good? Can everyone hear and see?
I'm not broadcasting,
Good.
but we should be all right.
You're not broadcasting?
You're not what? Sorry.
I don't have a microphone.
Oh no, I can give it to you. 1 second. All right. Yeah, I'll give that 1 second. Okay, we should all be on megaphone. Is that correct?
I am.
Okay, guys. So as you can see, look, it just goes in batches of. Oh, I'm going through the floor. What's happened there?
Oh, I jinxed you.
Yeah. Hang on. Oh no. Let me just quickly fix this. Where does my thing go? All right. Let me just put the physics on. Sorry, guys. I appreciate this.
No worries.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so yeah, can you see? So like they're all of different variations, the different social formats of like how the stalls are laid out, and there's different kind of skies, and then people could walk through here, and it's another batch of stalls with their own little sub communities of like stall owners that all know each other and all friends, and then
That's
it
neat.
just
Yeah.
continues on.
I like how
And
this one's
then-
more like an alleyway, like they're all kind of facing each
Yeah.
other. It's kind of cute. I like it.
And it's quite nice as well that people can still stand in the middle and feel like they're not encroaching on someone's stall. They can still kind of congregate and have conversations in the kind of hallway, as it were. Yeah.
That's
then
where that
there's- yeah.
proximity chat really helps out too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And then, like, so every 10, they can jump into another one and another batch, and they have all been built, but we're just not opening them yet. So they're all different formations. So, like, the first one was in a square, this one's a long one, and then you go through there, and there's another 11 stalls in a different formation.
Circle.
Yeah,
You can do
yeah,
MC
there's-
Eschers.
Yeah, yeah. Like stairs going up the ceiling. Yeah. So
That's
yeah,
really cool.
that's basically it. This is how Markets VR works, and I'm excited to see what it brings. And if people are interested in getting involved, then I look forward to hearing from them. You know.
Pretty cool. I'd like to be a
Well,
part of it.
Thanks for thinking of us and hopping in and sharing, and the booth. Obviously, I can't wait till you guys launch and
Yeah.
get in there and talk to people. And
I'm excited. Hey guys, I really appreciate your time. And if
Yeah.
you know you want to meet up again and talk about dates VR, that's something else I feel very passionate about and talk about because I met my now fiance in here, you know, in old space, and it's that's the power of the VR world. So I'd love to talk more about that story if you'd ever have me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. That'd be great.
Let's get it set up.
All right, guys. Well, I guess I don't know. You have to finish up on anything. I don't know. Or that's how we just end it.
We can do our ending and then get out of here, and then all good. So thanks everyone for watching and listening, hanging out. Again, we're talking to Mark from Markets VR. All the links shared will be in the show notes of both the video and the audio. Just remember, first month's free. If you're looking to get a booth, act fast. You could be our neighbor. Otherwise, come check us out. We'll let you know when everything launches, and you can come in here and do some virtual shopping.
Yeah, no matter what episode we're on, when something launches, we'll probably just do a shout out while we're recording. Be like, hey, they're launching on this Friday, and then go
Yeah,
into our
awesome.
show.
Yeah,
There will
perfect.
also forever be a link to that once it launches in our show notes for every show, so it'll always be
Yeah.
a thing, and then the logo in the booth and all that. So
Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right, guys. Yeah. And then we're going to carry on chatting after because a few things I would like to talk to you guys about if you're up for it.
Sure.
I think have you stopped the transmission now?
Working on
Okay, I'll wait till that's done.
Boy. Follow me with your eyes. Cameras have eyes.